I'm Louisa and welcome to another video for my channel Between Pages and Places. Today we're going to do a really fun video I've seen on YouTube recently. It is the Finally Fall book tag. I originally saw it on Elliot Brooks' channel and I thought it was a lot of fun, and I haven't done a book tag in a really long time, so I thought let me do this fall one because October's coming up, and by the time this video comes out it will be October, but I decided it would be a lot of fun to try. So before we get into the video, please comment, subscribe, and like down below. And now let's get into the video. So for this book tag, there are 10 prompts that all have to do with fall. The first one is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. The book I decided to go with is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. The reason I chose this book is because it's kind of interesting that the world that this story takes place is also kind of like in our world, but we just didn't know it. It kind of takes place in a city called, Ilvernath, and every generation, 7 people are chosen to compete in a competition to the death, and the person that survives ends up with all the magic until the next generation. And it only happens at the coming of the blood moon. So who knows when that will be and how long this specific family will have their magic. I found it really interesting because, and I think the setting's very vivid because they created this city, the island that it takes place on, all the artifacts, all the structures. They described it so perfectly you could just picture it in your head. And that's why I think the setting is so vivid, because it's not just describing like where the competition takes place, it's also describing the city. And they're like two different things. It's the place where the competition takes place, it's almost its own entity. It's almost like it's alive. And that's why I found the setting so vivid, and it's so well done. I can picture it happening in my mind as I was reading this book. And it's one of the reasons why I read the sequel, because this is a duology, just in case you didn't know, because I thought the way the setting and everything was described was so beautifully done that I just wanted it to keep going. The second prompt is, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. The book I chose for this was The Attic Child by Lola J. This is a dual perspective. You have one child who was around the 1800s, came from Africa to England, where someone technically bought him and raised him to be like a proper English man. But then when the guy dies, the family doesn't see him as a proper English man. He sees him as like a servant. So they put him in the attic. And then in the more future perspective, you have a girl whose father remarries and the father dies, and then she gets put in the attic by the stepmother. So it's kind of like two people in the same attic because it's the same house. And I thought this dealt a lot with loss of family member, loss of safety, loss of the place you call home, your mother, your father, your everything, and also loss of freedom and your own dignity to be treated like you were. And I find that's a lot of heavy topics, because you're also dealing with like PTSD, like what happens in the future to you. How do you deal with this kind of pain and suffering? I definitely recommend this. I thought it was amazing, and it's also one of the reasons why I like Book of the Month, because I get to explore different types of literature that I wouldn't normally buy. It was very good. I definitely recommend this book. It was so good. Number 3 is Fall is Back to School Season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. The nonfiction book I chose is basically, I think, the only nonfiction book on my shelf that I have read in the recent years. I do have some like wrapped up, but I haven't gotten to them. And that would be Part of My World by Jodi Benson. I picked this one because, again, it's my only nonfiction, but I love Jodi Benson. She's the original voice of The Little Mermaid, the animated version. And she's just the sweetest person. Like, I even got to meet her and I was like, oh my god, this woman is so nice, just wholeheartedly nice. And what I learned from this book, this is basically about her life from the beginning as a child to when she became the Little Mermaid, and like a bit later. And what I learned from this book is actually how religious she is. I didn't know that prior to reading this, and I didn't know how much her religion affected her life and how much it drove who she was. I also learned like about her family and her husband and her children and all that. But yeah, that's definitely one thing I never knew about her. Number 4 is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people we love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you'd like to be part of. For this one, I picked Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. I would love to be part of Will Herringdale's group with Jem and Tessa. I love Cassandra Clare and all her books, and I'm super excited for her new one coming out this month. It's just, they seem like such a, and I know that they go through a lot in the story, obviously, but they seem like such a wholesome group and like such a fun group. And yes, it's dangerous there. They're super brave, but I feel like if I was part of that group, I'd feel safe. Like I'd feel wanted. I'd feel part of the group, you know? And I just, you know, Will is just so like loyal, and Jem is so sweet, and Tessa is so smart and brave. And I would want to be part of that. What would I contribute to this group? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure I could find a way to contribute by being part of it. Yeah. Number 5. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. All right, so this was hard to do, but I did do it. So this is my fall-colored spine. I know it's tiny, but I feel like I don't have that many books with fall colors. So I did like a blue, a green, a red with some brown, and a more red and orange. I have Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness, The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness, Heart of Flames by Nikki Palpretto, and then Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. My sweet little fall pile. Next is 6. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody's telling a story. So for this one, I actually don't have the book anymore. I finished reading it. I also gave it away because I personally didn't enjoy the book. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars. So I decided not to keep it, but it is kind of a story within a story. It's called The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. And basically the main character is like telling the story as she's older. And I kind of figured that out based like on the beginning a little and part of the end of the book. And kind of the way the story's told, it makes it sound like she's telling the story now that she's older. And it's basically a world where like, actually, let me read the Goodreads synopsis because they do such a better job of describing than I do. Action, intrigue, and magic collide in this epic fantasy following Sir Conrad von Bolt, an Emperor's Justice who is a detective, judge, and executioner all in one. But with rebellion and unrest building, there are dangerous times to be a justice. So you think he's the main character? No, he's not the one telling the story. The Empire of the Wolf simmers with unrest. Rebels, heretics, and powerful patricians all challenge the power of the imperial throne. Only the order of justices stands in the way of chaos. Sir Conrad von Bolt is the most feared justice of all, upholding the law by way of his sharp mind, arcane powers, and skills as swordsman. Excuse me. At his side stands Helena Sindanka, his talented protege, orphaned by the wars that forged the empire. When the pair investigates the murder of a provincial aristocrat, they unearth a conspiracy that stretches to the very top of imperial society. As the stakes rise and become ever more personal, von Bolt and Helena, who is telling the story, must make a will. They abandon the laws they've sworn to uphold in order to protect the empire. Number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. For this one, I picked How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I've talked about this book before. It is very creepy. It's basically 2 siblings whose parents pass away, and now they have to take care of the house where the parents lived. But it turns out the house is more than they bargained for, and they can't just slap a coat of paint on it and sell it. No, there's some creepy supernatural stuff happening in this house that is by far very, very terrifying. And I couldn't read this at night because I knew I was going to be like creeped out by it. So definitely worth the read though. And I actually purchased basically all his books after this one. Number 8, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. For this one, I picked Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I always loved Harry Potter. It's what inspired my love of reading. And when I read the first book, it brings me back to those good memories of learning my love to read. I also always think of like wintry time when I read this one, because there's that winter Christmas scene in the movie, and it's also in the book, and I always like connect it. Harry Potter always brings back good memories of my childhood, and the fact that without this I wouldn't be who I am today. So yes, this is my nice, warm, cozy read. And for those of you who don't know what it's about a boy named Harry Potter who finds out he's a wizard after living with his aunt and uncle his entire life, because both of his parents died during a war between good and evil, Voldemort being evil and everybody else that wasn't with Voldemort being good. And yeah, so it's basically his experiences in his first year of Hogwarts, the school for witchcraft and wizardry, where he learns about being a wizard and where he meets his friends for life and, you know, battles internal struggles and external struggles. But yes, I definitely recommend this one as well. Number 9, fall. Luckily, it's my favorite season. Returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. Oh no, I just did Harry Potter. What am I gonna do? Actually, I can't do Harry Potter again because I just did it, obviously. So what I'm gonna do for number 9 is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. This is the copy I have, which has like the other side where they did it like a gender swap. I picked this one because I am returning to it very soon. There is I think a vlog happening across BookTube. A couple of people have mentioned that they're going to reread the Twilight series and then vlog it and discuss it and post it towards the end of October. And I thought that would be fun because the last time I read this book, I was in high school. So like I can't even understand how I'm gonna feel about it now being 30 when I read it when I was like 15. It's been like 15 years. It's been half of my life basically. So I'm very curious to read it again. For those of you that don't know, Twilight is about a girl named Bella Swan who moves to a town in Forks, Washington, and the town does exist. And my friend visited recently, and they do capitalize on all the Twilight stuff happening, for sure. And there she meets a strange family called the Cullens and her guy, Edward Cullen, and they turn out to be vampires. And she falls in love with one of them, and he falls in love with her. And it's kind of like her trying to deal with that and like understand how she's supposed to live with this and live with him. And you know, it's a good book and all that. So I thought it was very good when I was 15. I am curious to know how I feel about it, and you know, watch out for that blog at the end of the month of my thoughts of reading Twilight 15 years later. Number 10 is fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. I like hoodies. I like feeling warm and cozy. I like blankets. You know, those make me feel warm and cozy. Some hot chocolate's always very nice. I also like the accessory a brain outside where I don't have to go out and do anything. Instead, I could just stay in and read, and those tend to be my accessories. I also do like having my phone on me because I do listen to audiobooks quite a lot, and so I kind of do a read along where I'll listen and I'll like follow along as I'm listening in the physical copy. So those tend to be the things I enjoy having with me when I'm reading in the fall. Now it does say number 11, spread the autumn appreciation and tag some people. I'm going to tag my friend Christina at Christina KV. I don't think she's done this yet. I did mention it to her. She thought it was really fun. So now I'm officially tagging her, and now she really has to do it. So you go film that video, Christina. So I hope you like this video. Again, please comment, subscribe, like if you like this video or any other or any of my other videos. I will see you soon with another video. Bye.